So at what point did you kind of switch over from, because I know you were there for 7 years,
Mm-hmm.
at what point did you kind of switch over and go in a different way?
In 2006, I developed a friendship with Dan DiDio, and Dan had just started at DC. He'd been there a few years, and he was really making changes there and making a difference. And for the first time in a long time, Marvel was really feeling the pressure from DC that the books are good. They've got good creators there. There's energy. They're doing these events, and it was people knew that it was the energy that Dan had brought to the table over there. I admired it from afar, and because I lived in New Jersey and Dan lived in New Jersey, we would always find ourselves on the same flights out to San Diego or Chicago or whatever convention was going on. So I kind of became like an airport buddy with Dan. And also we would see each other at like the Marvel DC softball games, and we would chat there. I knew Dan kind of took a liking to me, and I liked him, and I liked what he was representing, what he was about. I wasn't that familiar with the DC universe beyond Batman, but I was very intrigued by what he was doing. And then one day I got either a call or email from him, and he was like, I'm able to make my first outside editorial hire since I've been here. I'm like, okay. He's like, maybe it could be you. So I interviewed with Dan, and in a very typical Dan way, he didn't really say that this job was going to be the Batman Group editor, but he kept kind of hinting at it. And so I was flattered and intrigued, and at that point in time at Marvel, I felt like I'd done a lot. I'd brought a lot to the X-Men line. I had just hired on Ed Brubaker and Mike Carey to the books, and I felt like they were in a really good spot. And I had a good staff working underneath me, and I kind of felt like I'd done a good amount there, and it was time to try something new. And so I made the jump to DC, and I came on as a senior editor there. And about 6 months into being there, Dan transferred all the Batman titles to me, and I became the Batman Group editor. He knew the whole time it was going to happen because Pete Tomasi had been the editor before me, and Pete was leaning towards going full-time freelance, which was a great move for him. He's a brilliant writer.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
Yeah, but very good for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so big thanks to Pete. And so I became the Batman Group editor there. I was doing that for all of my 8 years at DC, and that was by far the most rewarding editorial professional experience for me. It was working at DC Comics and working on Batman.